open up today's meeting. I know I have two commissioners that will not be able to join us, but I'm thankful for the commissioners that are. They will be joining us shortly, but I will not halt our progression until then. Good afternoon again. This is Committee Chair Mujahid Muhammad. I would like to thank everyone for attending today's Safety and Wholeness meeting. Today is May the 21st, 2026. If you have not already done so, please mute your phone and or computer. Anyone who does not mute their phone may be muted by the call moderator or removed from today's call. Additionally, please turn off your camera if you are not a board member or the CEO and her staff. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is present with us at this moment. Please identify yourself before speaking for the record. Commissioner Esposito, Commissioner Chiquis Guzman, Commissioner Simmons, and Commissioner Slater Harrington, who is currently having some technology challenges and will be on momentarily. I see. All right. With that, members of the public who would like to provide comment to this committee can do so by written or pre-recorded testimony. Please submit your written testimony or your pre-recorded video the day before the committee meeting. Up to 5 individuals will be given the opportunity to provide public comment during the Safety and Wholeness Committee meeting. Speakers will be granted 3 minutes. All public comments should address safety and wholeness issues. Individuals or groups interested in providing comment to this committee can do so in 2 ways. Feel free to email us at public.comment@bcps.k12.md.us, or you can call the board office direct at 443-642-4095. You can also call the board office with any questions you have regarding this procedure. Finally, the chat function during our virtual meeting today will not be used as a tool gathering for feedback or answering questions from the public. If you have follow-up questions or feedback to provide to the board, email us at schoolboard.bcps.k12.md.us, and the board office will provide a response to you. And with that, again, I want to thank everyone for coming out to today's meeting. We're going to start with supports to schools and staff during crisis. Looking forward to this presentation, and I invite you to take the floor, whoever we have presenting with us today. Hello, Director Go.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Muhammad. We appreciate you and the invite today. As we are bringing our screen up, they are going to put up the title slide, Supports to Schools During Crisis. And as we are getting that up, I'm just going to go over our board priorities because we're all familiar with that slide already. With our board priorities, we are covering board priorities 4, 5, and 7 today. I don't know if our person is having technical difficulties. But I'm going to keep moving while they are getting set up. We want to make sure that Mr. Zip does have access because that's who's showing our slides today.
Edie
I'm going to
Goodwin,
go
I
through.
don't see him in the meeting anymore.
I don't know if he was just kicked out. Someone just sent me a message saying that our guest is having a hard time trying to
I
get in
see
as
it though.
well.
Let me turn this on. So can you see it now?
There it
I
is. There
just
it is.
highlighted it for you.
Thank you so much. Our today, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so today for our agenda, we are going to go over our crisis response support, and we're going to be led by Dr. Barnes for school support and operations. For the restorative approaches, Director Banzak from Wholeness will be joining us. EAP and adult supports will be done by our human capital team, Ms. Evelyn Johnson. Related services also will be joining us. That's LaWanda Johnson and Rebecca Milburn will be coming as well. As Health and Specialized Student Services, we have Dr. Pate in the house. And then school police will be coming up last, and Major Ellis will be supporting us with that area from school police. Now, I just wanted to share with you before I turn this over to Dr. Barnes, this is a collaborative, cross-functional group, and we wanted to make sure that you were able to hear from each of the different offices for the supports each of them are participating in and providing for schools. This is an opportunity for offices to report out collectively on their respective areas of work. And also a view of the district support efforts for schools experiencing crisis or an elevated need in the school. So we have these different supports, and we just wanted you to know the team that is coming together will give you information on supports, services, and data to show the benefits of their efforts. And so at this time, I am going to ask Dr. Barnes to come on, and I'm going to turn over the mic to her.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Edie Goodwin. My name is Dr. Sabri Barnes, and I am the Director of Student and School Operations. And at this time, I'm going to share a little bit about the school support team and our role during the crisis. Next slide, please. So I just want to first just kind of frame the work of the school support team, which is actually a cross-functional group of professionals dedicated to ensuring that schools are safe, supportive, and equipped to meet the academic, social, and emotional needs of students. And this team brings together school support managers, a healing centered violence prevention manager, and specialists to provide coordinated, proactive, and responsive support to schools. The school support managers play a critical role in problem solving, resource coordination, and ensuring accountability across schools. The Healing Centered Violence Prevention Managers and Specialists focus on fostering safe and inclusive school environments by implementing prevention strategies, supporting crisis response, and promoting healing centered practices. So, together, the school support team operates as a force multiplier by leveraging data, relationships, and coordinated systems of support to strengthen school climates, reduce disruptions, and ensure that every student remains engaged, supported, and connected to their school community. So our work is all about supporting schools and students, supporting schools with operationalizing policies, and guidance, and just overall ensuring compliance and taking all of that and just using student achievement or school success as our through line. So next slide, please. Now, I would like to get into our role during a crisis. And I'm going to start with the role of the school support manager during crisis and response. Um, First thing, let me take a step back. I want to say that these boxes are not necessarily sequential because sometimes the level of support is personalized or tailored based on, the actual school needs. Some schools, some of our larger schools, for instance, they have teams of clinicians where you may have a smaller school that may have one clinician who could, there's been instances where the clinician was actually impacted indirectly by the crisis. So, we may work with the related service team to dispatch additional supports. So I think that is very important to name that because we like to tailor our support based on what the school actually needs. So, sometimes our immediate response when we are notified of a crisis is to work with the school leader to kind of stabilize the situation as best as we can. Supporting the principal and the activation of the school's crisis response protocols, ensuring the safety of students and staff is a top priority. We always like to confirm that emergency procedures are being followed, and always just having the pulse on the coordination of central office supports. We also serve as like a central point of contact of coordination, but just again acting as a bridge between the school and district office, ensuring that there's a real-time communication flow between school leadership, central office departments, as well as CLN leadership, and helping to prioritize needs and escalate urgent issues quickly. Ensure that clear and consistent communication by supporting the principal with internal and external messaging. Again, ensuring that the communication is timely, accurate, and more importantly, aligned with district guidance, and always helping to manage communication to family, staff, and stakeholders as needed. Again, going back to that deployment of resources and support, and I just gave you all an example a couple of minutes ago, but just those immediate supports could be inclusive of mental health or crisis response, um, additional resources, external agencies and partners, um, working with school police in the event that there needs to be, additional security or law enforcement presence, or just working with facilities or operations. Again, all depending on the crisis and the needs of the school, but always ensuring that schools have what they need to respond and recover effectively. Monitoring and documenting the situation by tracking key actions, decisions, and timelines. Ensuring proper documentation for compliance and follow-up. So what that looks like is really working with the school to ensure that the incident or the situation is reported in the EBBB workflow if the crisis happened on school grounds. Sometimes there are crises that happen with outside in the school community, but we still take action. And then lastly, just always identifying gaps or breakdowns in response. So we could just always, get better. There's always room for improvement. Supporting school leadership by providing real-time thought partnership and problem solving, helping to prioritize next steps, and ensuring that leadership remains focused on safety, continuity, and communication. So just being on site or wherever we are needed to help remove barriers. And lastly, leading the recovery and follow-up, which is super important. Just making sure that the school doesn't feel like the fire has been put out and there's no follow up, to just make sure that everything that we said we were going to do, that we did it, and ensuring that the school has done everything that they may have shared with stakeholders that they were going to do. So again, that could look like supporting reentry plans for students and staff, ensuring that continuity of instruction and operation, coordinating debriefs to identify lessons learned, and again, monitoring those ongoing needs. Next slide, please. All right. Healing centered violence prevention. This is kind of like a summary, um, a framework that kind of outlines the structured healing center approach to supporting schools during and after a crisis. There's that assessment and initial communication, that, determining the level of support needed and coordinating with district stakeholders to begin planning and communication. Always collaboration and planning by organizing supports for students and staff. That could look like counseling services, EAP for staff members, and leveraging our partnerships with other community organizations. That modeling and implementation, providing restorative trauma informed support, such as restorative conversations, SCL activities, and grief circles, which my colleague Eric Banzak will cover in just a moment. And lastly, that monitoring and sustainability piece, just ensuring ongoing support, maintaining communication with school leaders, and connecting schools with resources to stabilize and recover. So, I mean, the bottom line as it relates to the school support team, our approach really prioritizes coordination, restoration, and sustained supports that help schools respond effectively and heal after a crisis. So at this time, I want to pass the presentation to my colleague, Eric Banzak, who will share more information and really go into depth about the restorative practice work.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes. Like Edie Goodwin shared and Dr. Barnes shared, I'm Eric Banzak, Director of School Culture and Climate, and we're going to move into the restorative approaches. When the Wholeness and Climate Office is asked to support a school during a crisis, as you can see here on the screen, these are the 4 things that we focus on when we arrive at the school. The first thing we do is we work with the principal and the administration team to either locate or provide a safe space within the school so that way our team, the related services team, or any other team has a space within the building so they can be able to provide supports not only to students but to staff as well. Second is we're able to provide grief healing circles to students, and that could be to a group of students, it could be to a classroom of students, or it could be to a whole grade level of students. Third is we're able to provide responsive circles to students, and that's typically to the students who have been directly affected by the crisis. And lastly, we're able to provide resources to the school during a crisis. So for example, a couple years ago, there was an elementary school that had a crisis, and we were able to provide art supplies and art kits to the students. So that way the students can stay actively engaged, but also help take their mind off the situation. Next slide. So we know it's important to provide restorative approaches and restorative practice to schools, but we also know we can't do it alone. As you can see here on the slide, these are some of our external partners that provide either restorative approaches or restorative practice supports to schools this current school year. I'd also like to note on this slide that there's 3 partners that not only provide restorative practice and restorative approaches to schools, but they also provide supports to our staff during crisis. And they are MSDE, MONSI, and Aquaben. Next slide. And now I'm going to turn it over to our EAP department.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evelyn Jefferson, Administrator of Employee Benefits from the Office of Human Capital. Please forgive me, my camera is inoperable at the moment. We're going to review the EAP support that we offer our staff members. Next slide. Amid a crisis, the immediate response for staff is to be focused on the care of the students, and leadership is focused on the care of the staff. They may not immediately focus on the care they need for themselves. This results in low attendance at in-person on-site services. It does average 0 to 7 employees attending per site. Once the situation calms down after a day or 2, the gravity of the situation may set in and extended services may be needed. Services are available beyond the scheduled on-site services for all employees. Employees and all household members can access the Employee Assistance Program for 24/7 confidential help. And it is not just the stigma of an employee experiencing some type of discipline or drug or alcohol abuse. CompPsych provides enhanced care navigation for key diagnosis with a dedicated CompPsych clinician providing deeper clinical assessment and proactive support for key presenting issues such as community violence or crime, trauma, accidents or injuries, disasters, displacement, even war-related trauma. Utilizing our EAP program can provide individual function by strengthening each person's ability to cope by providing the right care at the right time, from resiliency tools to well-being coaching to counseling to navigating other benefits. It can also stabilize the home environment by supporting the entire household and addressing the life stressors that can cause or exacerbate behavioral health needs such as financial, legal, caregiving, and parenting stressors. Next slide. Usage of our individual EAP services for plan year 2025 reflects that they provided support for 24 critical incidents, touching 160 impacted employees in plan year 2025. The top presenting counseling issues in 25 were stress, anxiety, and depression. 96% of counseling cases were resolved within the EAP system and resulted in a 91% symptom reduction in plan year 2025. 2025 demographics consisted of 65% female, 26% male, 9% declined or did not specify. This demographic makeup was 93% employees, 5% spouse or partner, and 2% dependent or they declined to answer. CompPsych provides real-time confirmed provider availability with an immediate scheduling of appointments within 0 to 5 days. CompPsych provides care navigation of dedicated support, ensuring patient success for key presenting issues. Online scheduling includes a health plan integration feature, enabling members to search for providers by health plan for continuity of care. They also provide digital scheduling. In 2025 reflects 186 participants from city schools. The total utilization for plan year 2024 was 843 participants. Plan year 2025 was 1,338 participants, resulting in a 4.16% increase in utilization. And this is showing that we are on the right trajectory for more of our population utilizing the services available. Next slide. Members show reliable improvement of depression by 62.5% and anxiety of 72.5%. And this is improvement over when they started the services. Reported absenteeism was reported at 75.6% of the members utilizing EAP having fewer missed days. 47.1% of employees reported being more focused. 90% respected and trusted their counselor, which impacts success of the counseling sessions. And employees utilizing EAP services are reflected in lower emergency room and prescription costs by 35%, as well as a 13% decrease in disability if early treatment is sought. In closing, our EAP program is beneficial to the overall well-being of our staff. And it can be turned over to the next presenter.
Good afternoon. I am LaWanda Johnson. I am the coordinator of social work services, and I'm also joined by the coordinator of psych services, Rebecca Milbourne Lee. Next slide. All traditional schools are staffed with one MSDE licensed school psychologist for every 850 students and one licensed school social worker. These staff members contribute to overall school climate and wellness supports, working alongside administrators and staff to promote a safe, supportive learning environment for the entire school community. The majority of these clinicians' time is dedicated to federally mandated services, specifically providing mental health supports for students with IEPs and 504 plans. Specific services and volumes of services vary from school to school and is largely dependent upon the clinician's IEP and 504 caseload and the needs of the entire school community. Next slide. Related services also provide important general school supports that help schools function day to day. Clinicians support schools during crisis situations. Our school-based clinical staff play a critical role during times of crisis by assessing the social emotional needs of students and the broader school community. They collaborate closely with school leadership and staff to develop and implement coordinated trauma responsive supports. In addition, clinical staff serve as the key members of behavioral threat assessment team. They collaborate with school staff to develop and support behavioral interventions and help address attendance concerns at the student, classroom, and school-wide levels. In addition, they create and facilitate therapeutic groups based on the identified school or student's particular needs. Next slide. This is the data that we collected from our school year 24-25. You will see here that for school year 24-25, school psychologists provided approximately 1,600 individual and group counseling to students with IEPs. Approximately 4,000 students in the general education setting received individual or group counseling, and approximately 2,000 students with 504 plans received individual or group counseling. For school social workers provided approximately 3,000 individual and group counseling sessions to students with IEPs. Over 10,000 sessions were provided to students in general education, and over 9,500 sessions were provided for students with 504 plans. Next slide. Next, I will pass it over to my colleagues in Health and Specialized Student Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Courtney Pate. I serve as the Bridge Director of the Office of Health and Specialized Student Services. Next slide, please. So in our office, we oversee the implementation of student wellness support teams, which was an initiative that was designed to increase awareness of the mental health supports offered at school. This team is a multidisciplinary team made up of all caretakers who reside in a school building. So we don't have a prescribed buildup of the team because every school community is different. But you'll see here the list of potential people who participate in the student wellness support teams. We do go around and check and make sure that schools do have like bulletin boards or some kind of information within their school building that just points school community into the right direction. Next slide, please. The Student Wellness Support Team provides district level support and resources. In our office, we also maintain a toolkit that different teams can go ahead and access via a shared drive so that they can get information about different things that they can do to increase the amount of participation in their student wellness support teams, or to make sure that their school community has increased awareness. If we find best practices that certain schools are doing, we'll include that information too. For instance, we found that at a high school, they had created an email that their students could use if they needed help, so that they could reach out directly to their team. So we included that as a resource. When Ashley, who oversees the Expanded School Behavior Health Program, goes out to do her site visits for that program, she also looks for the student wellness support team information to be visible. And if she doesn't see it, she reports back to the school leader and assists them in correcting it. Next slide, please. The Expanded School Behavior Health Program is a program that City Schools operates in connection with Behavior Health Systems Baltimore. This allows for community mental health providers to assist in providing more mental health service hours, which alleviates some of the service hours that our related services team has to do, so that related services can focus primarily on those 504 and IEPs. Expanded School Behavior Health Providers, they provide services in an attempt to prevent students from transitioning to needing an IEP or 504. We visualize this work as preventative work. It doesn't just include one-on-one therapeutic services, but a lot of education. They do consultations with teachers and staff as well to help them to figure out the needs of students, as well as they work to connect students to outside care when they need a higher level of service as well. Next slide, please. Here is just the data from Q1 and Q2. This shows the utilization of the ESBH program. This data is housed at Behavioral Health Systems Baltimore. So when we need it, we have to reach out to them to get it. But as you see here, as the school year progresses, more and more students utilize the service. This will probably be doubled if we pull it again for the end of the school year. Next slide, please. In addition to ESBH and student wellness support teams and related services, we also have the consortium on coordinated community supports. And with the consortium, this is state level funding. So the state decides what programs they approve. Here is the list of this year's 2026 grantees who have been given funding from the state in order to provide additional services in our schools. Some of these providers are also providers of our ESBH program. We wanted them to apply so that they didn't have to focus so much on billable, deliverable hours, but they could also lend themselves to doing more level 1 activities as far as prevention work. As it relates to the response to crisis, our ESBH providers, they mobilize in the event that something takes place. So you may have a school that only has one ESBH provider. They will pull on providers from other schools to come and support if needed, and everybody is typically willing and hands-on and ready to go and provide additional supports and services. Same amongst these providers on the consortium or coordinated community supports. They want to be a part of our school communities. So as a result of them being there, they provide an extra resource as well. Next slide, please. And we'll now turn it over to our colleagues at School Police.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Major Chad Ellis from Baltimore City Schools Police. Next slide, please. Baltimore City Schools Police support and priority approaches to crisis response include mitigation, management, and recovery through a structured, multi-phase strategy aimed at protecting life, stabilizing situations, and restoring school and community safety. The first phase, mitigation, focuses on proactive measures such as intelligence gathering, community partnerships, risk assessments, and training to reduce the likelihood and/or impact of critical incidences. The second phase, crisis management. School police prioritizes rapid response, clear command structures, effective communication, and coordinated use of resources to contain crises and ensure public safety. The third phase is recovery, which involves supporting victims, restoring normal operations, conducting after action interviews, and strengthening policies and preparedness based on lessons learned. Across all phases, collaboration within the school district and with other emergency services and allied partners, transparency with the public, and adherence to legal and ethical standards, they are central to effective outcomes of crisis situations. As you'll see in this slide, school police provides a myriad of resources to staff and students in crisis situations through all phases of crisis response, including but not limited to what is listed on the screen. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the detail in which everything was presented. I want to ensure that that was the end before we step into any potential questions from my committee members.
Yes, Commissioner Muhammad, that was the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. We will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
With that, thank you much. Fellow commissioners, the floor is yours if you have any questions.
Hi, everybody. This is Commissioner Slater Harrington. Thank you for a great presentation. I'm not sure if I missed this or not, but was curious. I love to see all of the activation and emergency response, the coordination, I meant to say, the coordination for emergency response. Did I miss where you clue into or interact with communications and community engagement around the coordinated response?
I will gladly respond to that, Commissioner. The during the crisis management piece, those activations and notifications are made simultaneously and updated throughout the event. But more importantly, and most importantly, during the mitigation phases is where we learn, we iron out, we have several different types of practices to make sure that those communication strings with all of our partners are sound and current. So when and if the bell does ring, there is somebody on the other end able to support. This is obviously a really good exercise and incident that involves essentially what I would describe as all the links of the chain. And everybody is, not one person is more or less important than the other, or one group is more or less important than the other. It is absolutely a collaborative effort. So notification happens almost instantaneously and simultaneously throughout as an incident either expands and grows or restricts and recovers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Commissioner Simmons? Hearing none, I will jump in. I have two questions. One overall, I would say, what would we consider a successful crisis response? So can you shape that for me? Looking at the stabilization of the day, around students' attendance and returning the next day. How do we get that back to normal? And then staff, looking at staff accessing the supports and how we actually ensure that all of the incident reports that we need to ensure that are filled out. What does a successful response look like after a incident overall?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Muhammad. I want to say that one of the immediate hallmarks of a successful response is the immediate safety and security of students and staff. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you may have crises that happen out in the community. That looks different than um, someone getting severely injured in a school. Those are, the dynamics are different. If there's a crisis that happens in school, again, ensuring that immediate safety, getting timely communication out once we have gathered accurate information, coordinating with the appropriate offices. Is this like a situation for school police? If there is no immediate threat, more times often than not, we still loop school police in for awareness. We may have a situation that may require additional counseling and mental health supports for students. Um, Ensuring that we are maintaining open lines of communication. I cannot emphasize the importance of communication, because when you don't relay any type of information, people are left up to their own devices, which can create a lot of chaos and confusion. Um, I'll say, like, for instance, I'm thinking of a situation a couple of months ago at Dunbar. And even with our no cell phone policy, you had staff members that were communicating information that they should not have been communicating, or what they thought was appropriate to communicate, because it just took a little extra time to kind of gather information. Because the worst thing you could do is communicate bad information in haste. Um, Another hallmark of a successful crisis response is the sustainability. Again, the cavalry comes in, we save the day and we're gone. What does that sustainability look like 3 days from now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now? Following up with the school leader, asking the school leader if they need extra support or resources. Just that thought partnership. Major Ellis mentioned that after action review, because we always want to get better. So there's value in lessons learned. So like my response, Commissioner Muhammad, is not necessarily sequential because there's so many different variables, but safety, accurate and timely communication, and sustainability are the three indicators for me.
I appreciate that. And the strategy in which we're ensuring that uh, our young people and our teachers are safe, and we have the insight to um, maintain what's necessary to ensure everyone feels safe. The communication piece is what stands out. Uh, that idea that we have to communicate and ensuring that everyone in the school knows what they need to maintain the safety, but knowing what we should not be communicating is just as important. And then figuring out what we need to communicate to maybe some of our partners to ensure that their safety maintains out from our school into community while children are transitioning home. And then sometimes ensuring that that information is likely communicated to us when things are carrying over from community to school is really important. I have a question here from Commissioner Simmons. He's having some technology issues. He asks, what is the support for schools who don't use this RJ process with fidelity? What so for clarity, what supports are being given when we're aware that a particular school isn't using our given processes?
A lot of times that is actually unearthed during after action reviews. I think that with a strategy that the school support managers, what we always like to do is to revisit the facts and the timeline. We like to start there because in the moment it's really easy for people to say what they would do. We can follow this process, and sometimes our school leaders are under so much pressure in the moment that they color outside the line. And a lot of times when you go back and you really play Monday morning quarterback there, a lot of them are really like able to say like, oh, I should have did this, and oh, I should have did that. So just trying to like take them through the incident, um, ask them how they felt things went, where we felt like we could have done better, and improved. And then like for instance, there's been instances where we brought in the emergency management team to do a refresher training on drills. The principal called, they locked down what should have been an evacuation. So just employing all of our resources because we always want to assume best intention. So just, again, making sure that, we provide timely feedback. We don't wait until a month later to do an after action review. We like to get in schools within a day or two to really sit down with the school leadership team and then taking it from there.
I appreciate that insight. Chief Tosay, saw you were on.
Yeah, I was on, but Dr. Barnes actually talked about the after action part, and that's what I was going to bring up. So I think she did a good job
Excellent.
at outlining what that was for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate the insight. Hopefully that answered your question, Commissioner Simmons. Last question. We'll move on for the sake of time. I really want to just lift up the coordination and care represented across the departments in this presentation. I would say that my last question is more about capacity and equity. given that our clinicians, our social workers are already responsible for federally mandated services like our IEPs, and 504s and other services. How do we ensure that schools that are experiencing high levels of trauma, that yet they do have a related service provider, but they are constantly in this place of responding to trauma, uh, that when a crisis of some significant magnitude may happen, that we're providing a level of support with the same intensity without using those same staff members who may already be carrying uh, significant caseloads or responding to trauma at a higher rate than others, ensuring that our young people are getting the best service from us during a time of crisis. So, to be clear, that some of our schools and some of our staff may be overwhelmed with the challenges that they face. So, when a crisis happens of significant magnitude in their school, they may not have the same capacity to be able to provide the level of service that we know our children need at that point. How are we responding to incidents such as this?
I'm going to allow Ms. Milborn or Ms. Johnson to answer, but one thing we have found is that when schools are, although they do have related service providers, they are also a part of the staff that is experiencing the incident as well. So we did realize that they can't be providing services because they may need some services themselves. So that's the part I'm going to let Ms. Milborn and Ms. Johnson talk more about our process for that.
Thank you. I will just say that I think we have over the years done a really good job of identifying the fact that one monkey can't carry this show. And I think that's the importance of our SWST team and our consistent collaboration of A, expertise, B, availability personally, and C, the needs of the school. And we have made sure that we as a collaborate front in terms of coordinators and directors speak prior to ensure that our staff are at a good place to be able to do it. We've had situations this school year where our clinical staff were very close to a staff member that passed away, worked with her for 18 years, right? So they're not going to be the best face to put in front of children because they didn't have it together themselves. And so I think we did a really good job of coming together as a team and acknowledging that and making sure that the strong point is the preventative work, right? How do we build the team in the building before the crisis comes? And so having a strong SWST team where you have your psych, you have your social worker, you have your wholeness specialist, you have your community school coordinators, you have your extended mental health meeting on a regular basis so that when one can't, another one can. And I think that is probably something we've increased and built the capacity over the last several years to ensure that we have more hands on deck for children, as well as our community partners. We continue to collaborate with them as well as making sure we're debriefing after a crisis. What do we do well? What could we have done differently? What are we missing, right? And where are the gaps in that? I know. So that is some of the things we try to do and be cognizant and mindful of. Also, another big thing that Sabri had brought up was if they can't, then we send those that can. So we send additional staff. So if it's a psych's day at another school, we'll ask that psych to come to her school where that crisis is that day. If there is a clinician in the community that you have the brother and sister at your school because they all live in the same community, okay, can we ask that principal, can we borrow that clinician for a couple of days? And what can we do in order to ensure that the community is supported? So sometimes we do pull our clinical staff from other locations that may be in the area, or if they have an expertise in crisis. And we also make sure that we try to rotate that. So we're not pulling the same clinicians all the time for crisis because secondary trauma is real. And we want to make sure that they continuously become available ongoing. I will say personally that I think the district understands the importance of mental health because we're the largest number, the largest district employing the amount of clinicians that we have. There's no other district around that has over 208 FTEs for social work and 150 psychs. So I think we understand the importance of what this work looks like.
Thank you for that insight. For the sake of time, we're going to move on. I will ask that we find some
Chair.
time. Yes, Commissioner Harrington, please.
I apologize for looping us back really quick. I know you want to move on. Commissioner Simmons reached out, still having technical difficulties. He said he can appreciate the assessment, the quality assessment that happens as they're checking on each school, but he wanted to make the point that restorative justice is only as good as the fidelity in which it's implemented. And so he wants to know in written format, if you can just respond in writing, what is happening when those assessments are made. They've identified schools who are not operating with fidelity with regard to restorative justice, or what Dr. Benzak overviewed. What are the action steps to support them to get up to fidelity with restorative justice? Hopefully that makes sense, and he requested it as an action to be taken, a response in writing back to the committee.
We will make sure that we provide that for you in writing. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons, for your insight. We appreciate your engagement, even with technology creating barriers. You're still getting it done, brother. So thank you much. And as we transition out, if we can find some time to either have in writing or have a conversation around, because I think that the work and the coordination is very impressive. Because looking at this work over the years, seeing how we're ensuring that our departments are aware of what each other are doing and we are supporting each other is definitely something that shows a lot of growth in our work. I'm just as interested in how we can potentially communicate with our partners that are in our school, that also are in community, ensuring that those things, when we have risk, that we can ensure that those risks are mitigated, not just in our schools, but also in community. And how are we partnering with city agencies that are already working in different facets with us or in our schools? How are we working to communicate along this information along to them, and the other way around as well? So we're going to move on. Thank you so much for your work and this update. We're going to move on to our compliance report, JIH. I don't know if we're doing a presentation. I'm not sure that we are. I will start off by asking from my fellow commissioners if you have any questions here. We can start there. If not, if we did not plan to do a presentation, I myself am comfortable with what was presented to us prior to.
Mr. Chair, this is Dewana. We did not have a presentation. It was if there were any questions that commissioners would like to have answered.
Thank you so much. I'm good on my end. Hearing none from Commissioner Slater Harrington. Great.
I'm good, thank you.
And hearing none from Commissioner Simmons. I am excited to now move on to our Community Partner Highlight. Who do we have with us today?
Mr. Chair, we were trying to get him in. As you see, we're having some technical difficulty. We sent an email and he's unable to access the link. If you can give us like a couple, maybe like a minute to see if we can get him on.
Great. So does that mean I get to go back and ask questions? No, I'm
Well,
not.
Commissioner
I'm not
Muhammad,
gonna. I'm not
I
gonna
did
do
want to
that.
share with you the person who's coming on with us today is from Akabin. He's the founder and visionary. Malik Muhammad will be coming in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your flexibility and patience as technology continues to be a challenge. I myself am taking today's meeting from my phone because I was unable to log in on my computer. So I understand. Uh,
We're giving Mr. Muhammad a phone call just to see if what his actual issue is. So if you could just bear with us for one moment.
sure. So with that, let's go ahead and take a 2-minute recess to see if we can get Mr. Muhammad on, and we'll see what we do after that. So let's go ahead and take 2 minutes, and I will see you guys back at 5:01.
Commissioner Muhammad, I was going to say, what
Yeah,
happened?
I
Or
had
it
to
was a
get
tech
back.
issue?
No, I'm back on. Sorry about that. So it's now 5:01. Were we able to get Mr. Muhammad on, Dr. Muhammad on?
Commissioner Muhammad. Hi, this is Tanisha in the board office. We physically have this Dr. Muhammad on the line. If you could give us 60 more seconds, we would be so appreciative.
Absolutely. So if we have any community members on,
Commissioner
just,
Mohammed, I'm sorry to interrupt, it's
yes.
Dewana. We just have him as an attendee. We're just trying to get him linked up so he can present and turn his camera on.
Okay. And if we aren't able to do it, it's fine. We'll invite him to our next meeting, and hopefully
Yes,
he can make it.
okay.
But to any community members we have attending with us today, we appreciate your flexibility and your patience as we work through the new technology that we have to use to ensure the safety of our communication. We appreciate your flexibility and your patience.
We'll tell
Okay.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Mohammed, we may need to reschedule. We're not having any success at this point.
Understood. It's been a challenging day for quite a few people. We will reschedule. And with that said, we'll move right along. Do we have any public comment today?
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Uh, our next meeting will be held. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Our next meeting will be held June the 18th, and we want to encourage everyone to participate in this meeting, as it looks like we'll have um, two community partners joining us, and I'm excited knowing who one of those partners is already, and we'll have uh, Dr. Muhammad joining us as well, as he wasn't able to get on today. I also want to announce and encourage us to look into the School System Safety and Wellness Council. The Safety and Wellness Council, their next meeting is June the 4th, and they will be discussing collaborations with our enough sites. So I want to encourage us to, for those that engage in that work, I want to encourage us to participate in that committee if time allows. And with that, I will close us out. As is our norm, we close out with a quote, and hopefully, this is something that will resonate after today. The measure of our work is not only whether our schools are safer after a crisis, but whether our children, our families, and staff feel more seen, more supported, and more whole because of the way we showed up. When we show up with courage, care, and consistency, our schools, our children, and our families have the opportunity to always feel safe and trust in us. With that, thank you so much. And the meeting, I forgot to say, around the safety and wellness is at 11 a.m. And we will see you next time. Until then, peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.